Welcome back to yet another episode here on the O'Shea Duke Jackson main channel. I am your host, O'Shea Duke Jackson. For those of you who are in the live stream, let me first of all say I'm very, very glad that you're here today. Here on the O'Shea Duke Jackson main channel. I am your host, O'Shea. That's because Nagone.
White man had me by the neck, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Already fucking up. Okay, so guys, thank you for being in the chat today. For those of you who are restreaming, we know all of you cannot make it live. I understand you got to work. Some of you niggas getting ready to get fired at work. Pink slip, final notice. I already know how it used to be. When you come in, hit the like button, watch the video. Today, man, I got a really, really special guest. You guys know he's a moderator on the channel. He's very popular in the manosphere. And we was talking on the phone a little bit earlier, man. He was bouncing some game with me and everything like that. And we decided to come up, or at least I did, to curate this content that he's talking to me about, and that is black men need to stop putting white women on a pedestal. And I want to introduce to some and present to others Nagone11, all right, moderator over on Obsidian Networks channel and my channel here. What's going on, Nagone?
What's up, baby? Good to be here. I wasn't really planning on this today, but given the events that I told you about the last 48 hours, I just I said, hey, hey man, I can't really be going with this. And then you said, yo, Nagone, we gonna be on in a little bit, man. And a little bit this afternoon, I was like, what? We gonna be on? So I said, let's get on, man. Let's do this. So
man, these brothers need to hear this because this was such a interesting piece that you were telling me about, man. It was so classic. We had to get it on wax, as they would say. But before we kind of get into the show, man, tell people. I mean, you don't really do a lot of YouTube videos yourself, but what drew you into Black YouTube, into the manosphere? And why you're very popular amongst people here. What drew your interest in what's going on here in the manosphere and Black YouTube?
Yeah, okay. I've actually been kind of watching an observer of Black YouTube for, wow, I would say close to 10 years. I really started listening first to some of the earlier brothers in the early manosphere, manosphere 1.0, I would say, with guys like I first started, Sergeant Willie Pete. I started listening to Thug Titian, and those guys primarily. And then Tommy and these guys a little bit later on. But really, I really started listening to it was really Thug Titian who really got me kind of listening really close, because I had had gone through divorce. I was getting caught up in a few different things at the time, and I was involved just on YouTube, just going to a lot of different channels and talking politics and stuff. And then I came across the brothers, and I saw they were talking some real game. They were really cutting up some real game back in those days, and I was listening very closely to a lot of what was being said, and I thought it was I had a keen interest. And then I started seeing other brothers start to come in later on and fill in and add a little bit deeper to the conversations, and I thought that was quite interesting as well. And I thought there was not only a lot to listen to, but a lot to learn. I knew I was an older guy, but I listened to a lot of the game that was going on, a lot of real talk, a lot of red pill talk back in those days that spoke so true to me. So I was like, oh man, I was like, I got to listen to this. And I've, quite frankly, been pretty much hooked ever since. So I saw some changes happen from that time. Then I've seen the new iteration. There wasn't the kind of money that was out there back then that there is now in the game. So I think a lot of brothers, they were very pure as far as speaking to some of the real issues, that men and women were having. And I think they were talking real truth to it. They weren't just trying to get views. I think they were talking real truth. And like I said, Thug and that crew, they were really going in. And, I thought I had some good knowledge, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot from them, and I just wanted to continue to learn and expand and hear a lot more truths, because I think there was a lot of stuff that was going on that we didn't speak to, stuff we didn't ever hear. And these guys were letting it rip in a very real way, and I've been hooked with it ever since. And that's the hardcore truth of it.
Okay. So thank you for documenting your experience as far as like YouTube. Kind of talk about. I mean, before we kind of get into the actual topic, I want to kind of just talk about a little bit of who you are, because Come from a pretty good family.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your college experience because we want to kind of set you up as to some of the experiences that you may have had in life that a lot of African American men may have not had. I know I'm like a first generation, well, technically like first generation middle class. You're like second or third, right?
Yeah, well, I'll talk very frankly about my
Okay.
background. My family are very much literally coming out of emancipation, proclamation. Once that was done, family fought in the Civil War. Very involved with that. Then we had family that were kind of broken up in the areas of Ohio, into Pennsylvania, and then of course into the South. So we had family who were literally in these areas who got very early educated. They got an education at a very early time in this country. So when some of the earlier universities were built for Black people, we had some people in there, like the Wilberforce family. It's part of Wilberforce University and so forth. That's part of my family. Let's just say I had my great grandmother. She actually went to college. This is strange, crazy to hear, but this is what was really going on. Certainly at Morris Brown College and so forth. My grandmother, great grandmother, owned property on that campus, and they went to school. And my mother, she first went to Allen University, HSBCU school. I think she was 15 when she first went. She was in high school going down there with one of her friends, and they asked her to take the entrance exam. She just took it on a lark and took it and did very well. And she never graduated high school, but they accepted her into college that next semester. So she went to college at 15 and graduated at 19 and all this kind of stuff. So and became a professor, at the College of New Rochelle and all. So on my father's side of the family, they were well educated people as well. Not as early on as my mother's side of the family, the Wood side, but certainly my father's side, the Olivers and so forth. They got out of school. They came out of kind of slavery. They worked certainly in the fields, but my great grandfather became a railroad. He got a job as a steam fitter in the railroads, and his son took that as well. And these were high value jobs, if you will. So my grandfather and then my father and all them, they got educated and went to Howard University and so forth. So they came from a educated background. So just to kind of get into it, I don't want to go so long into it, but we had a lot of education in the family.
Okay.
And that was a big part of that. So grandfathers, great grandmothers and all, they were college educated people. It's as unbelievable as that may sound. It's true. We're out here anyway.
Okay. So the reason why I'm asking this is because we want to set a precedence because I went to Howard University also, and I know that when you were kind of the Black elite or kind of in that kind of class, you have different advantages, and you see a lot of things that a lot of people don't see. Like your great great grandmother was in college at Penn University, the DME University. So the kind of Black women that you probably were seeing, coming up, a lot of Black men probably don't maybe not have those experiences. I know that was true for a lot of Blacks that were educated. So you were able to be around a different class of African Americans. Is that right?
I would say they were educators. Big part of my family, they were educators. So Black women and so forth that I grew up around, they were very stern, but very well educated people. They weren't feminists as well as they weren't feminist. Oh, Black, they knew men had a place. They knew the women had a place because they were in the women's schools and the men were in the men's school. So they understood the separation of the roles, but they were about education. They thought you should get your 3 R's: your reading, writing, arithmetic, and that's just kind of how it was.
Okay. Let me kind of to move to this point. I know at some point you were married, but let's talk about because you also went to college. You did very well. You're fraternity at your top 15 to 20% Black men in the United States. When did you start to what was your earlier experiences with dating and having relationships with African American women?
When I was coming up as a kid, we grew up in a mostly white area. My parents moved south there. My grandmother wasn't so keen on it, but my mom and my dad decided to move us into a pretty white area in East Yonkers, and I kind of grew up there. So it was more dealing a lot with white women and so forth. I didn't really start to white girls, if you will. I didn't really start to deal with black women really more until I started getting into more of the high school experience, and I started really getting in sports as a high schooler. I was going to go to the public school, but my parents didn't want us to go to the public school, so they put me in a private school, a prep school. But I was hanging out with all the guys in the public school, stuff like that, and hanging out in the black area of town, across town in Nepperhan and in this area. So we started hanging out with a lot more of the black folks then, and I was getting a much more of a black experience. Being that, of course, my father also had his office in Harlem and everything else like that. So as a kid, I was around it a lot, but when I started to be getting into adolescence, I wasn't around it as much until I started really playing a lot of sports and then hanging out in the black side of town. And that's when I really started getting involved more with black women during that period, of which they were kind of tough on me, to say the least. But anyway.
Okay, let's deal with the tough part now. Early on, as a young man, you're living in Yonkers. Your father moved to a white neighborhood. I'm trying to kind of paint the picture here. What were some of the earlier differences that you noticed early on from white girls or white women or young black women in dating?
Well, what I saw was I thought that the white girls were a lot more open, a lot more bold. They pursued you a lot more. They seemed to kind of like us. Where the black girls were, they were kind of picky. They were kind of picky. Even though I was a good athlete, they were picky. They were going with the super athletes, and I was okay. But they tend to go more with with the superstars, and I wasn't so much a superstar. So the black girls were, they seemed to be a lot more picky. That was my experience. So, but the prep school I was going to, I did have a girl, Cheryl Jackson. Hopefully she ain't listening, but she had an extreme crush on me. But she was a ninth grader, and I was a 10th, 11th grader. So I kind of thought she was a little bit of a kid. But that was my first real serious experience, really kind of getting involved with a black girl, and she was really cool. But yet, I had a white girl who was liking me at the same time, and then Cheryl started getting jealous about that. So, I started really seeing how even that back then, black girls didn't like you if you were, if the white girls were on you. So there was a big issue there. And we ended up having a falling out over that, which I thought was kind of silly, but I was, starting to encounter black girls. And I have to say there were a lot of them who were really pretty. And I say back then, those girls were very much in shape. And I remember this one girl by the name of Toy Beeman. She had the perfect afro and perfect shape, dark brown skin sister and white teeth, big dimples. And I remember I thought she was so beautiful. I was afraid of her. I was like afraid to talk to her. She would walk by and I'd be like, ooh! I would almost, choke and panic. And she would look at me and laugh, saying, "What's this guy afraid of me for?" But she was too much. She was, kind of like the ultimate kind of sister, walking around at the time, and I was madly in love with her. So it was, and she kind of looked at me like I was pointy-headed little underclassman, but I was in love with her, something fierce. But I thought the white girls were just a lot. They were just more open. They were like, "I like you, and let's do this." And I was backing off from a lot of them at the time. Okay. But they were very bold. They were a lot more open, a lot more bolder. Anyway.
Not more bold. So let me kind of recap it a little bit. So early on, moved to Yonkers, you're going to a prep school. And obviously, at the time that you were going, it was uncommon for African Americans to be in prep schools. Is that right?
No, we started seeing it. It was in the 70s, and they were blacks who were kind of doing their thing. So even though the school was rather expensive, we did have a few black families in there. Blacks were, because let's put it like this: black people are aspirational. So if you actually have a family who's doing well, they're going to be aspirational, and they're going to try to send their kids to the better schools if they have the opportunity to do so. Okay. That's what black people do.
Okay. Right?
Okay. Contrary to popular belief.
Right. So I'm just trying to paint the picture just to recap. So you were doing that. Now let me ask you this, because at the time that you were probably in prep school, I don't know the racial climate. I'm assuming it's a little bit more conservative back then than it is now. Amongst black people and amongst white people, what was the perception amongst black young men at that time about dating white women in comparison to dating black women?
Okay, at the big high school, Roosevelt in Yonkers, big high school, the black guys tended to really stick more with the black women. That's just kind of how it was. And the black women who were in that school, most of them, they were running the Negroes. They were running them. Okay, straight out, they were running them. So the sisters were like, yeah, and the white girls were on you. They were on you big time, but the sisters were barking them white girls off. And the brothers felt as though they had to be with sisters. That's how that was. The sisters was running syndicate on that shit. So if you were a brother and you were trying to slide over to the white girls, they were going to shame you something terribly, and you were going to be looked upon as an Uncle Tom and all this kind of stuff. And you were not going to be looked upon favorably. So that wasn't looked upon favorably, certainly in the big public school where it was big mixed populations with white and blacks. They were not looking for that interracial dating kind of thing. That was not going on big time. In the prep school that I went to, that was more common. People were wealthier. They were a little bit more liberal. So the white, and you had less black women there, so they couldn't run the scene as much. So if you were a black guy, and like myself, who was an athlete and everything else like that, the white girls, were all over you. They were all over you. There was nothing really stopping them. That was the thing. But the black women in the big schools, the black girls, they were running shit. All the house parties, everything else like that. They were big organizers, and that even the brothers got in there. Sisters were rolling through, and they wasn't letting the brothers were on lock. Brothers were on lock. That's how it was.
Let me kind of re-clarify it. Yeah. So the title is "Black Men Need to Stop Putting White Women on a Pedestal." Among black men, was there because you've already talked about a difference in the white women are a little bit more willing to approach you, black women are a little bit more standoffish and kind of going for that top 10 to 20% guys.
That's right. That's right.
What was the perception about white women as far as dating? Were black men, I guess, considering like young black men at the time, like, hey, white girls are better, white girls treat you better? Was that kind of going on back then too, also? Or?
Well, not so much because they weren't dating them as much, but brothers were interested. But I'm telling you, a lot of brothers were a little bit intimidated because they were kind of worried about the sisters. We had this one brother named Corning. All right, he was a big brother, and he was actually running with a couple of the white girls, and he was taking a lot of heat. But he was such a great basketball player, such a great athlete. Sisters really couldn't shut him doon too tough, but they were talking a lot about him. And one of his girls named Donna, white chick, real fine. She actually got into a little scruff with one of the women in the school. Got into a little scrum with them. So some chicks were kind of challenge this babe. But the white women, I would say, during that period of time, for sure, were definitely more. They were less aggressive, very submissive to brothers. They were definitely that, very submissive. If you're gonna see them, they were definitely more submissive in that regard, and they were giving brothers less of a hard time. So the sisters started to see that. Now we're talking about this is the 70s, coming into the late 70s, but it was just mid to the late 70s. But they were definitely giving brothers a little easier time than the sisters were. Sisters were trying to run shit. They were running syndicate. The white girls weren't really trying to do that. They were like, oh man, anything pretty much goes. That's kind of how they were rolling. Similar to the reputation they have today. But that's what was going on back during that time. And you see, then that's when this interracial thing started to move a little bit more. It started to amp its game up. Then we saw it through the 90s, through the 80s, and then we kind of saw it hit a real, what I consider the peak in the 90s, if you will. But it was starting, and the train was starting to roll at that stage of the game. The train was starting to roll then to get on the move. But that's where you saw, I would say that submissive thing where white girls were, were very demure and giving brothers what they wanted, not giving them a hard time whatsoever. And the sisters were always kind of, sisters were always pretty much a handful. That's just how that was. They were a handful.
Can I ask you a question? You say more submissive. Maybe you clarified already, but can you give us some, kind of examples? How are white women more submissive and giving black men less of a hard time in comparisons to African American women at that time?
Well, hey, listen, girl. I know you're my girl, but listen, I'm gonna hang out with the fellows over here. We're gonna drop over this party over here tonight. We're gonna hang out with our crew, all right? All right, that's okay. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. No problem. All right, okay, that's all good. Here you go. Hey, you a little short on a couple of dollars too. If you need a couple bucks, I'll give you a couple of dollars too. They would do shit like that.
Okay.
Sisters were like, the fuck? What are you talking about? You ain't going nowhere. You ain't no whole hell. You ain't no. I know. I know Pam and them over there. Nah, you ain't going out like that. Nah, I'm going with you. No. I ain't go. Nah. I know. I know all them out there. No, you ain't going out there like that, Negro. No. Me, and my girl. No, hang on 1 second. You driving us over there? It was that kind of thing. You understand? So
you was waiting for that question. What? You nailed that one. What? Okay, hold on, man. Good to see my brother ABL in the building. I see my big bro Xanthos Clutch. Good to see you guys. Okay, do me this favor, guys. We in this motherfucker on the early tip, man. Got big bro Nagone in here. Okay, I'm trying to get him to start producing content on the tube over here in the Manosphere. Good to see my big bro Darrell from my neighborhood, Falcon Black. Guys, get the likes up on the videos if we can, and thank you for those people who are watching on the restream. Hey, just act like it's a live stream, even though you're watching it again. You know what I mean? Let me give a few shout outs to a few brothers that have super chatted, and I thank you guys for your support. And also, Nagone has a channel in the description. Okay, you guys can go subscribe to him. He's gonna start putting up some content. You know, we have
indeed.
He might do it though. We have to see. He's kind of big, you know. But let me shout out Young J216. Shout out to the Bad White Hoes, brother Wayman. Brown, okay, but still a 2018. We're gonna get him right on the site. G-Star, Australian G-Star. Thank you so much, brother, for your support. Let me kind of talk about this, Nagone. So let's talk about your first experience. When you really kind of maybe went there with a white woman and stuff like that. How old were you at the time where you kind of really went there? I mean, you really
all right. My first experience was when I was 9, going on 10 years old. It was a girl, and I was in my elementary school, mostly white elementary school. I still remember her name, Pat Riley. She's, Pat Riley. So she was a little freckled Irish girl, but she was really cute. And I was playing in little leagues, and I used to play little leagues with her brother. And Pat was so cute, and that's one of the first girls I fell in love with. So it was a white girl. I was going to a mostly white school, and it was kind of puppy love, and people would tease us, and there wasn't a whole lot of racial talk going on back then either, because we were kind of kids. And I remember my teachers who would look at it, and they all thought it was kind of cute. And I was one of the class cut-ups. I was one of the funny kids in class and stuff. So I was getting a lot of juice. And she was the first girl that I asked to show me her thing, if you will. Let me see your thing. And she did. She let me see her thing, if you will. So I was like, oh man. I was like, oh. So the first time I ever got a chance to take a look at a what. So I was like, oh, this is huge. So that was my first experience as a kid, asking them to start to disrobe in front of me. I was a wild little dude. But anyway, literally when I really started to get involved, I first started seeing one of my first real girlfriends besides Cheryl was a girl by the name of Lisa Friedman. And she was a white chick living in Riverdale, and she was going to prep school with me. And that was my first real experience, really kind of getting it in. And she was a handful, but she was a lot of fun. Lisa Friedman was a lot of fun. So that was my first girl, and as a white chick, let me tell you, when I was in my school, she would literally beat up people if they said anything about me. So you couldn't say a word about old C. You couldn't say a word. Couldn't say a word about me. Couldn't say a word. They were like, man, Lisa, she really protects you. If anybody says anything about you, man, she'll beat you up and stuff. So, and she wasn't like a tough girl, but you couldn't say anything about me. If you said anything negative about me, it was a fight. This girl was getting ready she was fighting for me. I'd walk around school. I didn't have to worry. Lisa had shit on lock, and that's just how it was. So that was my first little girlfriend, long blonde hair, all that kind of stuff. So she was really cool, and we got along well. And that went on pretty much throughout high school. Then we broke up for a while. Then I started seeing Cheryl, and that was a black girl. And then basically Lisa broke that up, and then I went and got back, and because her and Cheryl got into a fight, I don't want to get on to that, but then again I got back with Lisa and all that. So all that was going on literally almost throughout high school. And then there were a few other girls that I was getting involved with, and some of the black chicks on the on the west side, and some of them were really cool. They were just beautiful girls. But they, it was kind of interesting because it was funny. They didn't want to give me a lot of play, but once they kind of saw me, I was driving around, had a pretty new car, and they see me come by with a couple of my friends, and then Lisa would be with me on occasion. They saw that I had a white girl. When they saw that on occasion, they were then like, then they had interest. Then they wanted to kind of get you away from Lisa, because now it was a competition thing. So I had this white chick, and next thing you know, they were interested now. Now they were more interested because they saw me with someone else. So that added to the competitive factor, but it also added to some other things that got rather interesting. But that's how it was. So the more serious long term situation I was dealing with was this girl, Alicia Friedman, in high school. And then by the time about 12th grade, we kind of broke up, and I was getting ready to go away to school. So things started to change on that. But that was my experience. But the black girls were very jealous during that period, very jealous, and they wanted to run syndicate on your ass, but they weren't running that with me that way, and we had some issues about that. So this is very interesting because it gets even more interesting as we move forward. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's transition back to you went to college, right? Now, when you were in university, did you go to like a black college, or did you go to like a greater state university, or
Syracuse University?
Okay, private school, good school. Okay, so he was there. Syracuse University, were you dealing with any white women at this time, or non-black women?
You see, as I went to Syracuse and I got involved in my first semester in the dorms, they had the Jewish girls and all that, and they just seemed to flock to me. And I remember Jennifer Brummel, white Jewish girl, real pretty, small waist, fat ass. I remember one day I was just on the floor hanging out, playing football with foosball, all that stuff like that with my with my friends, on the dorm floor up there in Flint Hall, and she was heading out to a party, and I remember she was like, "Hey, can you help me put this necklace on?" And I was like, "Okay." Put a necklace on, turned around, started tongue kissing the girl, and next thing you know, we were on. So there it was, another big fat booty Jewish chick, and here I was all up in the middle of it, kind of loving it. And some of the guys in there didn't like it, but it was no big thing. But I started getting, I was doing pretty well, but I started seeing a lot of brothers. I started running to a lot of brothers, and I had done pretty well, decently academically my first semester. So some of the frat brothers, these were alphas. They were like, "Yeah, why don't you come, take a look at the frat and all that?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went to one of the smokers, went there, and we sat down and started looking around, and guys were interviewing me. I was still a very young guy, first semester freshman, decent. Let me see grades, it's on my grades and all that. And then they wanted me to pledge a frat. Second semester freshman year, which was unusual. They weren't letting freshmen pledge. With me and one of my other brothers, Vic, we were the first two freshmen that had really pledged a frat since we had founded the chapter there. And they let us get on. And after that, after I got into the fraternity, and I really wasn't on campus a long time. One semester, I was just a regular guy running around, kind of semi-running around with this little white chick I was running around with for a minute. Bang, zoom, I was in the black world, and in a totally black world, and that was the fraternity. Once I pledged, went over, then it was a black world after that. And it was black women and black everything after that, and then I got a little bit more militant in my mindset, and I was like, I'm not really messing with white women and all that, and I took a turn, took a very conscious turn, and the fraternity and all of it was about was what I was into, and that changed me a great deal. It did, A5 changed me a great deal, and I kind of made a big turn. So then I would say the rest of my college years, I didn't deal with any white woman at all. I didn't deal with any white woman, and then I had met my future wife there as well. So that's kind of how things worked out. So white girls were done after my first semester freshman year at school.
Okay. Now let's go back to I know you had got married, had a black wife. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now when you got divorced, you're telling me,
Mm-hmm.
somewhat of a little bit interesting story. Around what? Around were you? It's in the '90s when you got divorced, 2000s, or
Well, as I said, I had pretty much gotten married coming right out of school, and I had gone to college at 17, and I was out at 20 before I turned 21. And by the time I was 21, I was getting ready to walk down that aisle, my brother. I was getting ready to walk down that aisle. So as a kid, as a child, I was getting married, and that was not the best move. And I'm not blaming anything on uh, I'm not blaming anything on the ex, if you will. Man always takes responsibility for his actions. So I was very young, and I got married at a very young age, and started having kids at a very young age as well. So I jumped into the game. I jumped into the game a little bit too early. Like I was looking to be a doctor like yourself. I'd gone to grad school, and so I'd done a lot of different things, but I saw some of that had gotten sidetracked just because of me making some very early moves, which my father tried to advise me against. But what did he know? He was only 30 years older than me, so I was like, get the hell out of my sight. You don't know nothing. But anyway, I had made that move, I was a bit young. I was a bit young to be doing what I was doing. So by the time we were going to the '90s, we were having marital issues, and she was immature, I was immature as well, and we were doing a lot of fighting, and a lot of dumb shit was going on. And how sisters are, they gonna fight you, bruh. So I was dealing with a lot of that, and then I decided we couldn't really do it for a while. So we had at least three breakups before the final divorce. But it was during that first initial breakup that was really bad, where she was trying to take my kids and doing all kind of craziness. I was like, I'm out of here. And then I started to make some decisions, because I was try to get in on a little bit of the world travel thing. I was a stockbroker during that period of time. We were starting to make some nice bread. So and I was in a karate school, mixed martial arts school at the time, where some of my friends had gone to Russia and had made some moves, and I hadn't gone. So I said, I want to go there. And I started to get on my world travel thing at that stage. I started saying maybe I didn't travel enough. And I was, in my very, very, very late 20s. And I said, it's about time for me to get out and see a little bit more of this world. Because I had gone to Spain my last semester of my freshman year. Excuse me, my senior year in college as an exchange student. So I had tasted a little bit of Europe at that stage, studying Spanish as a
okay?
minor. And then I said, I want,
Let's stop right there.
yeah,
You went to Europe, right?
yeah.
Let's paint the picture for everybody, because we know that you had went to Europe, and we just skipped that before you got married. What
Mhm.
was your experience with white women in Europe? That's important, because we want to kind of let's talk a little bit about that before we kind of get into the meat of the video. But what was your experience in Spain with European women when you were there?
In Madrileñas in Madrid, the women were very friendly, very open. A lot of them spoke English, especially when you went to the American University there. Um, had wonderful experiences with them. Wonderful as far as getting involved. I was messing around with one or two of them, and they understood it was just a messing around game, because I was there for a semester. They knew I wasn't going to be there for life. And you have to understand, when you go to a foreign university for a while and you do the exchange study, it's more of a cultural of experiences as opposed to a big academic kind of game. So there was academic stuff. I learned a lot of the classical writers, Nagone11 and many others, who you really learned the Spanish literature, and you learn how to speak better Espanol with the Castellano accente and all that. So all that was really cool. But you learned a lot about the culture, a lot about the area, a lot about the Moorish influences and so forth. There was a lot to learn there. And the women, I thought, were very friendly. So access to them was pretty easy. And I had sex with a couple of them, and had some fun, and they had great parties. They really understood. They really understood the party game, and they partied, man. They had a great time. So I had great experiences, even going up into the Basque country and so forth. I started seeing some very interesting situations there, where I met some very interesting women there as well. So my experience there in Europe was way off the chain, and I thought that was my grandiose experience. And I even told my wife to be, that this is where I was, and I did have a few affairs, and she cried, but she accepted it and said, "Okay, I understand, but now you're done," and all that. So we went through all that. So I thought I got it all out of my system, and she permitted that, if you will. Not that she had a choice, even, but that's kind of how that was. When I came back here, I was interested in getting into the military at the time, but yet I felt I needed to, make her an honest woman and all of this, and we felt that this was the best move, and that's what I did. So that's kind of what brought me into that marriage kind of early, because the experience in Spain and going all through there, and even foraying a little bit into Lisbon and into Portugal as well. I didn't understand the language as much, but we traveled around a lot, and there was a lot of if you were a student, you were brother, and you were rolling through. They had African students there, a lot of them, but as an American, you did get a lot of juice. You got a lot of favor. You got a lot of favor there.
Yeah.
And a lot of favor.
So, let me do this real quick, guys. Thank you for watching. 422 people right now. I know y'all are trying to figure out what words the Google moderator team will delete. Okay, so stop doing that, because then they're going to delete the channel. All right. If they're doing that, then leaving white people alone, okay, it's their shit. So let them do whatever they're going to do. Leave these white folks alone. Okay. So leave them alone. I don't want them over here doing anything. Leave them alone. Don't try to be seeing what they're going to delete, because the next thing they'll delete the channel, y'all be mad. All right. So let me just do this real quick. 417 people watching. I need everybody to do me a favor. Go ahead and like the video, okay? And then we also have a very, very good Nagone11 right now in the comment section. Do me a favor and subscribe to his channel in the description. Hit the bell. But let's get more likes there, okay? 149 likes is too low. We got a great show going on right now. Let's get some more likes here. And let me go ahead and shout out to a few brothers so hitting us with the super chat. That is brother Schmooth. She could be white or black. Real men go where the power is. I thank you so much, Jamarius Willis. White women are more susceptible to change for the greater good. Even if they aren't super submissive, they will analyze and assess. Okay, thank you, brother, for that. Now, let's talk about this like after you got married, and you having the issues. Now, at this time, what was the perception from black men in the greater black male society about dating white women in comparison to dating black women 20 years, from when you first had your experience?
It was definitely getting to be more acceptable. It was going down a lot more. And brothers were certainly beginning to look at and say, we got alternatives. So brothers were looking at it to where I've had a couple of friends who had married some white women. And they were in the professional class. My boy Rick and a few others, they were lawyers and stuff. They were going to law school, getting their law degrees. And, they started hooking up with some of these white girls. And these white girls were coming across playing that real submissive game. They were playing that submissive game, and brothers were able to kind of get over the way they wanted. And these white girls were giving brothers what they wanted. They were giving brothers what they wanted. From everything I saw, they were playing a very submissive game. What do I mean by submissive, to be more specific? They definitely weren't challenging you. They were willing to take a backseat, willing to let you get in the car and take over the steering wheel and start to drive. They didn't have a problem with that. And a lot of them, they came from families that may have had a little something. So, they were able to, if they had properties or something else like that, these brothers were coming in and they were taking shit over. And these guys were fairly competent folks. So, things were made to look real sweet and easy. And you kind of thought maybe, this was an option. You had a viable option starting to arise at that time. Viable option. Brothers were in there, and it's not like these brothers were so much were chasing these white girls. It was these white women were on you as well. I saw that from the time I was a kid, that they were pursuing you too, but there was just a lot of stigma behind it. So maybe they weren't pursuing you as openly, but it was on both sides, because a lot of brothers, they could have been with white women as well, but they weren't chasing them like that. They weren't chasing Becky like that. They weren't. And I think that a lot of these girls, especially during the 70s and so forth, white women were a lot more open to play with you than a lot of brothers were looking to play with them. And that's kind of how I saw it, because you didn't have a lot of issues with, white. You didn't have a problem with these white girls. If you wanted to see them, they were giving you, they were easy to approach, easy to get over on. And, that's just kind of how that was. That's where that was at. So I continued to see that. And the older I got, especially when I got into my, 20s and moved to my 30s, I saw that a lot. And then when I got on Wall Street, oh my God, I can't tell you, you walking around, you wearing $500,000 suit, tailor made for you, shoes on and wingtip shoes, and you were looking great. Spenders in the whole game. I had that whole game out, and them white women. I'm talking white women from Staten Island, the talking like this kind of thing, and the ones that would say nigga, but yet they were trying to take your fucking clothes off first chance you got behind closed doors. So if you were a brother who had a little bit of money or about something, it was terribly on. Terribly on.
Let me ask you this real quick.
Yeah.
The perception of white women is getting different from the initial rate. Black men are saying, okay, this is a viable option. Now, talk about this because we want to lead off to the topic of this show. We talk about, your personal experience. When did you, because you mentioned this to me, that white women at some point, they were chasing brothers, but then at some point, they started to feel like if they knew, now let's talk about this. A lot of black men, not a lot, but there are black men who will always say, I don't date black women under any circumstances. So then they only date with white women, and then white know that they don't like black women. You were under the impression that these white women started to be like, oh, wait, you don't date black women? Oh, my value goes up.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's talk about that real quick. And when you start seeing that dynamic where white women started to become a little bit more entitled when black men started talking to them and dating. So let's talk about how their attitude changed when they started figuring out that a lot of black men had issues with black women.
Well, and I first started seeing even amongst, because, the top notch, let's say 10 white girls, everybody was chasing them and all that. But the white chicks that were the 5s and the 6s and the 7s, sevens is decent, but they started thinking, like brothers to a large extent really were, kind of wanted them, because brothers, you see some brothers that were stepping off, and you were having this black, this gender war thing. I remember when I was in college, and I'll digress for a quick second. I remember when I was in college, I think it was my sophomore year. A bunch of sisters were sitting down around the table, and I was in there talking with them and everything else like that. And they were like, well, the problem now is a lot of black men, there's black men and the black women problem. And, this is a real issue now. And, and here we are, we're getting late 70s, 80s, they were talking about the black woman, black man gender war kind of issue. And these were conversations we were having in college. So this was starting to go on. Now, moving more towards, later times, brothers started to feel that there were issues. And I think a lot of brothers were starting to really start to talk to a lot of these white women. This was going on a lot. And I think that's when you started hearing a lot of the ugly white women, black guys going after the ugly white babes and all that. But there is some modicum of truth to that for sure. But that wasn't totally the truth. But yet, there was a modicum of truth. There was a modicum of truth to that. There was. And, and some of these brothers were definitely hyping up some of these ugly white babes. And these lower end white babes were definitely getting a shot on these brothers. And they were. I saw it a lot. I myself avoided that, but that was going on. And I started to see, I think some of these white babes, they started to think, well, if anything, I know a brother will want me, as opposed to, the top shelf white dudes, they ain't trying to roll with me, but I know a brother will roll with me, and he will be better than, one of these lower end white dudes. So I can get a fairly decent brother who looks halfway decent, and doing halfway decent. And, I'm shooting above my pay grade, man, with some of these brothers. And that's how that was going down. And I think a lot of them started to, to feel kind of a little bit entitled. So I think that's been going on for a while, And I know I'm going to start pissing some brothers off on some of this and all that. But, I'm a very red pill dude, so I'm going to drop it like it's hot. Too many, we've gassed some of these great broads' heads up. I mean, white women's heads up. We've some of them have gotten a little gas, a little entitled. They're entitled anyway, but in this society. But I think we have, in some respects, played into that, to say the least.
Let me kind of go back to this point, and shout out to Erica Williams. I'll read that super chat in a minute. What you're saying is, this is important. So let me just kind of go back here. White women who are typically on the lower scale. You talked about if a white woman was an 8, 9, or 10, everybody's chasing her. White men, black men, Asian men, whatever. That's normal.
Yeah.
White women who were like not as attractive. 7, okay, but 6'5", somewhere in the range. For them, they're thinking like, I can't get like a really good white guy because I'm not attractive enough. But I can get attractive black man that's doing pretty good. I can get out of I can't get what I want in the white race, but with a black guy, I can get a good looking black guy and other things with black men. So let me ask you this:
That's correct.
what average do you feel that white women who are less attractive, a 6, a black man with a 6, is going to get more respect than having a black woman that's an 8? At the time that you were coming at this time,
I think that was somewhat of the perception. That was somewhat of the perception. Brothers, it was cool to have you a white chick and this kind of thing. And some of these lower end chicks, I would say 5s, 4s, 5s, and 6s, we're getting with some of these brothers. These brothers are walking around like they kind of had prizes with them a little bit. They kind of had a prize with them. They didn't have a problem sporting them. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? But anyway, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm calling that shit out, man. Yeah, I saw it, and we would respond to some of this, because I had to say any white chick that I dealt with, they look good, and a lot of these brothers were kind of rolling with some of this. So that, like I said, there's a modicum of truth to some of that, to some of that stereotype. There is a modicum of truth to it. So I know some of them, some of us may not want to say that because we have debunked a lot of that, of which I would have to say is true as well. But there is some truth in that. There is some truth in that. And these girls who would not get a hyper quality white dude, a lot of times they would get a quality black guy. And I'm talking about guys who had degrees and were in the professional class and that type of thing. And they were getting with them. They would get these type brothers. I'm not talking about the Pookie and Ray Ray type of guys, who gets a lot of blame out here. But they would get with some of these more educated lame type brothers, if you will, the educated cats, dudes who were slated to kind of move a bit in the society, in the corporate game and that kind of thing. Yeah, they were definitely shooting above their pay grade, getting brothers that, in my view, brothers could have done better with some sisters, if you will, but they were going with the white women, and these were white women that, in my view, were not very high status.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to shout out the super chat. Guys, do me a favor, get the like on the video if you're coming in. I appreciate you for watching the live stream. Once you divorced had the breakup with your wife. And I know after, like, I've had a bad breakup before with a black chick, and I'm like, man, let me date a white girl and get a fresh breath of fresh air. Try something. Did you ever think about that, or did you have friends that had been married to white women? They told you they were happy, stuff like that. Was that kind of going through your mind? Like, I need to try something a little bit more different. I haven't tried it in a while. Let me see what's going on over here. Was that something that you thought about, or?
No, I myself was always open to, whoever is really gonna kind of treat you right. I was really super pro black, big time. Coming up as a young man, very pro black. It is what it is. That's a period that most of us really go through. Not that I'm not so much pro black now, but I was very, very much pro black then. A and all the other stuff, and really just even the readings and stuff I was doing, the autobiography of Malcolm X and all that, Diop and all these guys I studied. I mean, just getting into Black history and all that stuff was big. Was big to me, very pro black. So I wasn't really so much, thinking that, that white women were a real option. Even though I had some friends who, not many, but a few who were married and hooked up with white women. But one of my friends, Rick, he had married this one Canadian French white girl, and she had a big booty, but she wasn't really all that super pretty. And then I remember we would be at parties, And she would, a lot of these white girls were bold in the mouth. They had big mouths. They would talk, and she'd be in a party singing on my boy Rick, talking shit about him. Yeah, well, Ricky, and she'd be up in there because a lot of these white girls, they don't want to shut their mouth sometimes. They'd be up in there, she'd be shooting her fucking mouth off, talking shit about him in the party, and everybody would be sitting there. They just used to listen to Ghislaine just to listen to her go off on Rick. Rick was an attorney, lawyer, very, very, very successful. And here was this, French Canadian white woman who basically, was working in a store. Was not a professional class woman at all. But she could feel comfortable, getting into a party with all his friends around and start to sing on him, talk shit on him and stuff. And I found that highly disrespectful. And then I saw myself making some rather, I'd say some, I'll admit some racist comments as well, I would say, out front, and she'd shut up real quick. But I thought that was disrespectful. So I started seeing where some of these white women, after they were with you after a period of time, they felt kind of comfortable to let you know how they really, in certain respects, felt about you, even though they were with you and rolling with your ass, sleeping with you. They still felt, in some ways, they let you know how they kind of felt. And, this was a French Canadian woman. But anyway, I saw this many other times and many other things. But anyway, so go ahead.
Would you care to talk about? I mean, I don't know. Was there anything that they said to you directly under a certain circumstance?
White girls specifically, no, they they wouldn't say anything specifically to me, but you would see in the attitude how they would maybe talk down to some of these guys. They would talk down to them a little bit. Talk down to them. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking down to these guys for? You know what I'm saying? Who the fuck are you?
Can you give me an example of something that they would say to talking down to one of these black men?
Oh, like my boy Rick. Well, Ricky, you so lucky to be with me because I know you, man, Ricky. I know how you think. You're just lucky to be with me. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Rick was lucky to be with you? Really? Is that right?
Where do you think that was coming from?
Oh, really? Coming from the standpoint of, yeah, Rick, you're a bit of a lame dude. You ain't all that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm all that. And I gave you a chance to get with me, so you should just be happy. And if I say some ill shit, if I come off on you, accept it. Don't get mad about it. It's all right. I still love you.
Look, let's talk about there was a situation. I don't know if you want to go into it right now about a particular white woman that you were dealing with. If you want to talk, I mean, you could talk about that, or I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Well, like I said, some people saying generalizations. I don't really want to go hard in because I'm not trying to make this a big racist thing here. So I'm not trying to, go hard in here. I'm gonna go a little bit hard in the paint, but I'm not gonna go too crazy hard because I'm not trying to be racist. Or come off too racist here. Because this is, I don't want to spend all my time talking about my white females, but I have, I do have some issues, and I've dated them before, and I'm, and I've dealt with some of this stuff. So I just want to be clear about that for those in the chat who might be a little bit concerned about me being somewhat general.
Okay.
Wait, so go ahead.
Yeah. So from your personal experience, because if you say black men need to stop putting white women on a pedestal, or when you say things like white women are not what you think they are, they're not so much better than black women, somebody's going to talk about, well, what is your evidence? What is your proof, Nagone? How do you know this? That white women are in some cases are even much harder to deal with black women. What would you tell them?
I would say you can take a look at some of these divorces that you see with these black guys with these white women and how they tear them out of the frame when they get a chance to do so. Mm-hmm. They come in there with some of the most high end fuckery you've ever seen. And they play a very tough hardball type of game with you. They come in like lambs and they go out like lions, and that's what you have to look out for.
Wait. Let's start there. They come in like lambs. Let's. Mm-hmm. I think that's a very important statement. What do you really mean when you say that?
Okay, they come in there nice and demure and real submissive and all of that. And then as they get to know you, as they get into you a little bit more, and they start to feel more comfortable with you, they start to deal with you just like they deal with that white man. All right, and you'll notice that there's a mirror image of what we say about the black women on the self-same side too, because it's female nature. But moving, just getting away from the female nature piece, a lot of these, well, you never can get away from the female nature piece, but as far as the white woman coming in, very demure, very very submissive, being real easy. The minute she thinks she's got her hooks into you, she's gonna let you know where she's coming from. She's gonna let you know where she's coming from, and some of them work, but a lot of them don't. And a lot of times these girls are looking for a come up on you, and a lot of brothers roll with it. They get in with these women and they roll with them, and then the minute they start having certain kind of issues, some of these chicks they're gonna jettison you. They're gonna blow you up, and then they're gonna talk shit about you as well. And you'll see another side of them that you didn't think you would want to see. And you see a lot of that. You see a lot of that going on. A lot. I'm not saying most, but I'm saying you see a lot of that going on. Mm-hmm. A lot. I've seen it.
Let me ask you this. In comparisons to, let's talk about black women. Do you think that black women have that kind of lamb kind of appearance, and then later they hook themselves into you in comparison to white women, or is it a little bit different?
Fuck no, man. These black women come in there like, listen, I'm a fucking problem, and this is what you get, and you know what's up, and then they stay on that line. They stay up in there, and it all depends on how much of it can you take from a lot of them. Now, there's some black women out there, who come in a little bit more demure, but a lot of black women, they come in there real up front, real strong. They come in there, they let you know what's going on. And a lot of these brothers know. You start dealing with them up front, they're not trying to hide shit. They, they're letting you know what's going on there. They're letting you know what's up. And a lot of them will be disrespectful to you and contemptuous of you very, very early on. And a lot of brothers know this and they accept it and they continue on with a lot of this. So they're up front. They're, sisters a lot of times are quite up front with where they're coming from in a lot of this. Brothers have seen some of these, negative attitudes that they've seen from these sisters, and they still get down with them anyway. So they see that. So that's one of the differences that I'll say. That a lot of sisters are bringing this shit up front, and I think you know what I'm talking about too. There, O'Shea, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. They from the gate, nigga. They letting you know.
Yeah, they coming out the gate. Where I think a lot of these white women are coming in, playing a slightly different game, and they're. And plus, I think a lot of them have been raised a little different. They've been raised in 2-parent households, and so they understand how to play certain types of games. But a lot of them, have very strong mothers, like Irish women. If you're gonna mess with an Irish female, their society is very matriarchal, very matriarchal. They have strong men in that group. They have a very matriarchal bent about their society and culture. So they come from a 2-family. A mother and a father, you're gonna have very strong women. So you run with one of these Irish broads and stuff like that, and you try to get down with them, they coming at your ass. They'll be all easy in the beginning, but after a while, they're gonna be they're a handful. They're gonna be tough on you. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand that about some of the different European cultures that you might not know about until you get caught up in there. But that's would be one example. Irish women are very much like black females. Very much so.
Okay. Let me do this. 504 people watching. Again, don't let this brother, man, be the only one hitting the super chat button. Jamorius Willis, and this is like his 15th super chat. Now, so brothers, if you want to support or ask questions, there's a $sign there. You can give the minimum of $1, nigga. That's all you can give $1. 99 cents. That ain't shit. All right. So thank you for everybody else. Yeah, man, don't let this brother be in here, man. Putting the whole pay stub in the thing. So 550 people watching. Let's go ahead and get the likes up also on the video. Let me read out some of these super chats. Brother Jamarius is holding us down up in this piece. Jamarius, you have to have those black talks up front to test. Jamarius, I've had deep black discussions with my wife all the time. It's good to have a different perspective. As O'Shea said before, you have to establish shit at the door. Fly Guy, I don't know if I can mess with you on this topic. I can't go a week without fucking with my Beckies. Shout out to the Beckies out there. Fly Guy. Okay, man. I see. Erica Williams, keywords, professional brothers, college, Wall Street, money, dad born in Japan, Asian culture loves black culture, no marriages to black unless older women are ugly to Asian standards. Ooh. You hear that?
Yeah, I have something to say about the Asian thing too. They have what I call the art of the indirect attack.
Okay.
Different. We'll get into that in a minute.
Okay. So let's talk about this, right? Because in the manosphere, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna call anybody out, but there was certain sects of brothers who talk about not dating black women at all. There's words of I've heard a term called the scraggle daggle. And they talk about dating women, overseas. And I mean, I definitely get that. I understand that. I mean, I know you've been to Brazil, you've lived there. I've been in Africa. I'm living in Poland right now, so I definitely get where they're coming from. But a lot of black men think that the grass is really so green on the other side. And dealing with white women, would you say, all in all, that it's better dealing with a white woman, with your experience, than dealing with black women?
I would have to say it's better dealing with white women than black women. And me being red pill as I am, being in a red pill bitch up in here, fuck no. All right. At the end of the day, women are women. Okay, their fuckery is a little bit different. What the fuck? But it's fuckery all the same. Okay, so it's coming down to the individual. That's why I say your vetting processes have to be pretty much spot on. Now, do white women have certain advantages in the areas of growing up with within two-parent households and understand kind of the family dynamic in some respects a little bit better? That I would have to give them some advantages on. So there's some advantages there, but so there are some advantages there. I will give that, but also that also means you got to be on top of your game, and at the same time they're gonna test you. They're gonna shit test you to play all the games that sisters play. Now a lot of sisters, we have some dysfunctionality because of some of the single raised kind of families we come up into in the black community, where whites tend to be more two family raised and come in with a little bit more wealth, so they understand the family dynamic a little bit better. So some of that tends to work in their favor. So there is some truth to some of what brothers may be talking about as far as having some advantages with some Beckys. There's some truth to that, but I believe when you begin to break this thing down fully, we are going to see that in many respects, women are women. And you best be able to vet that individual female quite well, because Becky's coming in with her fuckery, just like Shaniqua coming in with her fuckery as well. They'll be a little bit different, but fuckery's fuckery. Now you got to understand, I'm taking a very red pill view to this, and there's some in the SYSBM community and so forth who might beg to differ with me. That's all right, but at the end of the day, being very red pill, you got to watch your ass at all times, depending on who you're dealing with. And we see a lot of professional athletes and others who with Becky's have run into a lot of shit. I've seen a lot of brothers out here who've been married to these white women, and next thing you know, they're dealing. They're getting torn out. My boy Rick, he divorced his first white wife, and now he married another white wife. What happened with him was, he had a little problem with his law license, where he's getting suspended for a period of time, and this white woman cut him off immediately and said, "You're out. See ya." Cut him off at the knees. He couldn't believe it. Thank God he had another piece of property that he could move into, because that marriage house that they were getting ready to move into was gone. And this white woman didn't hesitate to fucking to jettison him when she saw his law license was having a problem. So is that fuckery? You tell me.
Okay, let me ask you this real quick. Damn, and I had a good question.
Go ahead.
The question that I have is, okay, when a lot of black men, when they date white women or stuff like that, they think that there's going to be better, easier on the other side. Do you think that, and how can I say this? Damn it, what am I trying to say here? Well, let me ask you this: when black men think they're gonna date white women or the grass is going to be greener on the other side. They get over there, and then they find out that it's not going to be greener. Do you feel that the same? Because this is what I found, right? And it's no disrespect. When I see a black dude, for the most part, I've seen certain instances, but most time I've seen this. I would say at least half the time. I have some friends that are doing very well, but they have problems dealing with black women. What I will find is that they will say they don't like black women, but they will get a white woman that's exactly what they would get in the black race.
Mm-hmm.
As far as looks are concerned, as far as personality is concerned, I mean, like the white girl that they will get, and I saw this at like at this like Nigerian party, in July. I went to the Yanya concert. I saw a lot of black married to like Polish chicks that were like some of the most hugest, most unattractive, most ghetto, chicks on earth. And a lot of times when I hear black men complaining about black women, the women that they get in other races, half of the time or most of the time, I'm seeing that it's mainly. I'm not saying it's them as a problem, but they're getting this. They're not really upgrading. So, do you feel that when these black men are dating these white women, and you talked about it, there's a lot of brothers that are fucking a lot of unattractive white women that are less than stellar, overweight, fat, not attractive.
There's some. No, go ahead.
Do you think these black guys are really attracting what they deserve, and they're really not upgrading when they interracially date?
I've certainly seen that. I've certainly seen that. Even one of my workout partners that I go to the gym with, he's a smooth looking brother, tall, 6'3", dark, perfect teeth, excellent skin, big muscles, strong as fuck. Women are all over this guy. What is he running with? A short, dumpy, ugly little white broad who's got fucking a shit attitude who I've had to check on more occasions, than a fucking checkerboard. It's fucking ridiculous. So, I've seen this shit, more times than I can think, and it bothers me. But then again, we're also getting into some of the self-esteem issues of brothers as well, which is a different level of conversation. But we do deal with that, and I'll talk about that openly. Brothers, sometimes they run from these sisters because these sisters give them hell, but then they don't feel all that great about themselves, and they feel comfortable running with some white chick that's not, anywhere near the level that they should be rolling with. And they deal with that based on esteem, and it is what it is. I know those ain't gonna like it, but there it is. Deal with it.
Do you think that black men dating white women or interracial women for confidence boosters because they have low self-esteem? What's driving this interracial dating?
I think there are a lot of things that are driving it. I think there is a societal push to be somewhat interracially dated because I believe that our how would I say, our social engineers want a more how would I say, integrated country. Even though we have a lot of racial issues now, we want this country, if it's really going to function and do well, it's going to have to be a bit more cohesive. So I think that some of these guys are looking at it from a standpoint of we got to start, opening this up a little bit more. So I think there's some social engineering involved in some of this, at one level. I also think, and there are a lot of brothers who, do like white women because, they prefer how a lot of them look. I don't know what to say. They prefer a lot of how they look. Now, that might be a racial issue, or some people might feel that there's some esteem issues there. That could be a possibility there as well. And some brothers, certainly deal with white women because, you do have a lot of white women who come from families and cultures that are going to, without question, defer to the man. And they're going to let you be a man first and let you get in the car and take over the wheel and start and drive for them. Where sisters here are a bit more harsh. Some are a bit more harsh in that regard. So some brothers are going to go to the path where they find women are a bit more feminine. There is a more feminine quality in certain respects that many white women have that some black women lack. So, we have to, deal with that issue as well. So that's a factor. So there's not one simple thing. There is a lot of factors, I think, that are involved. Some of them that I've named, that play somewhat of a role in this, as to why brothers do kind of what they do. But a lot of it, is some of the dysfunctionality that we have in our community, and how black men and how black women get or don't get along. And brothers are looking for options. When I saw a lot of brothers going down to South America, going down to Brazil, they weren't necessarily so much looking just for specifically just Brazilian women. They were looking for a replacement. I saw a lot of brothers who were down there messing around with sisters around the block. They look like you find up around the way. But these sisters had a different way about them. They were more. They had a lot of femininity about them. They were very feminine. Like I say, the Brazilian women, they walk differently than women walk up here. Where women, a lot of these women walk like stormtroopers. Down there, they have a very feminine way about them. Brothers love that way. Their jeito é diferente, mais feminina lá. It's different. It's different there. So brothers were looking for that. They were looking for a replacement for what they're getting here, because they think a lot of these sisters here are somewhat damaged, and there is some truth to
that. Let me ask you about just briefly in Brazil. A lot of black men love Brazil. I got a message today. A lot of brothers are going to the Dominican Republic, but I think probably more long-term relationships may be happening in Brazil, in my opinion. In comparisons to Brazilian women, because black men are also not putting, I think for the most part, black men have put almost African American men. They will say they love black women, but then you will hear this, man, the Brazilian women, man, they treat you much better. I mean, I was hearing that back in the 90s from my older brother before he went to Brazil. Like Brazilian black women were a much better option. Charles Tyler made a whole channel about that. What about black Brazilian women? Because you live down there, you own property there. When you hear black men putting black Brazilian women on a pedestal, Brazilian women on a pedestal in comparisons to African American women, what do you think about that?
I understand why they do. I understand why they do. They look good. They take care of themselves. They look better. They, on the whole, look better. So they're in better shape. They're very feminine. So it appeals a lot more to your masculine energy. So that's what a lot of black men are very, very, very attracted to. Black men do like a feminine woman. And the Brazilian women understand it. I remember my boy Bob over at Latin Euro, he's got the Latin dating site, and I knew him pretty well, and we would always talk about the ads he would put up, and he would have a lot of Brazilian women write for them, and one of the first things that these Brazilian women would have written in their section would be, "We're not trying to compete with you. We're not trying to be your competitor. We're not trying to be, your adversary. We are your lover. We're the one who's going to take care of you." So this is something to appeal to the American man, and the American black man in particular. That was to appeal to you, because they were saying the Brazilian woman's not really going to try to come at you like that. She's going to want, she doesn't have a problem with you being in the lead. She doesn't have a problem. In fact, she expects you to be in the lead. She expects you to take care of her. This is what she expects. And if you are able to set her up in that way, you're going to have a chick who's going to be there, rolling with your program, and that's kind of how it is, because, you're dealing with a much more macho culture. So that's something that appeals to us greatly, as opposed to what we're dealing with here. When you have a sister who may be here working and doing the same thing, you're going to come home, she's going to have a lot of mouth for you. She's going to have some issues with it. You're going to be, nothing with her. Well, I'm a strong woman. No, I ain't a strong woman. That's somebody who's trying to compete with you and giving you a hard time. And a lot of brothers ain't trying to deal with that. So the brothers who have freed themselves up from what I call this matrix and will go down there and see that was an alternative, a viable alternative to what they had here at home in which to choose from. Viable alternative. Brothers always look for alternatives, as well as they should.
Let me do this real quick. See, this is why I have a hard time with women coming over to my chats. The name of the show is Black Men Need to Stop Putting White Women on a Pedestal. So then you have some black chicks. Oh, Italian women are good good men, Italian men are a good option for black women to date. Go to a black female's channel and say that. This is the fucking manosphere. You know what? Nagone, you know what's about to happen, right?
Oh, I do. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Go do what you got to do. Go ahead.
Get all the women out of the chat. Let's go to the wall. All of them. Let's go. Get all of them out of here for the whole entire show. I don't want to see another female comment at all. Let's go. Wall to the wall. Get them up. Let's go. Everybody, the whole entire show. The whole night. You see a woman, Patricia Quick, thank you for your donation, but to the wall, let's go. Water Sniper, I don't even know why that nigga even comes over here. To the wall, Water. The whole show. Go. Let's go. Now. My show later on tonight, wall. Lisa, no, you too. Let's go.
Damn, O'Shea said about the friend.
Let's go.
This is what I
Thank you for your money, but let's go. To the wall, let's go.
I like this.
You need to find somewhere else. Why do y'all need to find somewhere else to go?
Shit.
Why y'all even here? See, y'all need to go watch the makeup channels. Lovely T. Shout out to Lovely T 2002. Why y'all over here? Y'all not even supposed to be over here.
Shit, this is my stilo.
No, Brittany, go to the wall, Brittany. Let's go. Out. All of y'all.
This is to the windows, to the wall.
This is the manosphere.
Shit.
This ain't for y'all. Thing. This is what's wrong with y'all. Y'all think that y'all entitled to something. Don't nobody give a fuck about y'all over here. Nothing. You don't get no run over here. Not a motherfucking run. Nothing. Not here, you don't. Wall.
Shit.
Next time you're gonna get banned. I will ban all you motherfuckers off my shit.
Shit. This is gangster. Anyway,
this is O'Shea's channel. Coming over here talking that motherfucking shit. You better get your ass onto a beauty. Y'all over here every day after y'all get timed out. Can't get enough of this shit. Every day they over here. Ain't nobody even talking about them for the most part. And they over here any goddamn way, just running their goddamn mouth, all in the chat, trying to participate. Get your ass out of here. This is why I don't like, bro, I'm telling you, I don't like women on my channels, man. I'm sorry. I don't trust y'all. I'm just being real. I don't get them out of here. I'm telling you, we're gonna be headhunting over here. I'm tired of y'all. Y'all always trying to fuck up something. That's all y'all do. Going somewhere, fucking up shit, and then leaving. No.
Shit.
Damn, man.
Yeah, dog. So go ahead.
Yeah. So let me go ahead. Yeah. And I'm ugly, so what the hell y'all doing over here? Y'all want to give ugly niggas some pussy? Man.
Oh my goodness.
I'll take it, but you gonna still go to the wall. All right, so let me do this real quick. Let me go ahead and read out the super chats. Patricia, she donated but got sent to the wall. Thank you, boo. God bless you. I can't read the rest of them because the YouTube had an error. All right, let's talk about this Chinese thing real quick, an Asian situation.
Yeah.
Briefly talk about that. You wanted to speak on that also.
All right. A lot of Asian women. And I had occasion to actually date one of them for a short while, but it was a quickie kind of thing. But anyway, let me just break it down. Well, I've been to Thailand and all that. You know what I'm saying? I've been there too. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Anyway. But anyhow, as far as any real relationship, they have what I call the art of the indirect. They are not going to directly challenge you most of the time up front. What they do is they do what I call kind of more or less the backdoor kind of deal. So they don't fuck with you up front, but they kind of get you from the back and kind of get you, they try to control you indirectly by maybe saying or doing certain things that might undermine you a little bit, as opposed to directly challenge you in the mouth and get into your face like that. They don't really do that much, or utilize their family in some ways to help to come down on you a little bit as well. So they're not directly coming at you, but they'll have other interlocutors come in and help to engage you as well. So they play a different type of game, but it's still their game. And a lot of people are, get controlled by that. And I saw that, and what gave me some insight on that, I was reading actually Chairman Mao's book. It's a little red book, and he talked about how he learned a lot about power by utilizing his his by utilizing the method his mother kind of used against his dad. So even though she might have had a little bit of sharp tongue and she might have had a few things to say, she didn't directly challenge him a lot. But how she was able to control him was kind of doing certain things that would undermine him or affect him. And he used the art of the indirect, and he kind of used that as how he orchestrated his way to power. Instead of directly challenging his opponents, a lot of times he used the art of the indirect attack, of which I thought was so accurate with how these women actually operate. So even the Chairman Mao, if you will, was talking about this in his book. This is very much a kind of I'm not going to say so much an Asian thing, maybe it is, but very much a Chinese thing as well. This is something that they do use, even though as Asian women, they can be sharp in the mouth and talk a lot of smack too, especially when they come over here. But they use the art of the indirect, and a lot of times I see a lot of these Asian dudes checking these women. It's pretty funny. I was in Manhattan. This was about maybe a couple of years ago. I was down. We were down. I think it was about by 34th Street. And I saw this Asian woman, very attractive. She was with an Asian guy, and tall Asian dude. He was well dressed, and she was like, ah! She was like talking loud to him, talking real loud to this guy. This guy was like shocked. He was like, "What?" And then she started to walk away from him, like, "Yeah, man, fuck you, dude," kind of like thing. My man did one of these. He went, "Come on!" I don't know what he yelled, but homegirl literally froze in her tracks. She froze. And then he walked up, grabbed her by the hand, turned around, and just walked back. I don't know what he said. But whatever he did say, homegirl froze. And I'm kind of thinking, I think he was saying, you think you're here in the United States talking this shit, but you know how we roll. And she begged off with the quickness. But these Asian women, I believe, are no different. They have female nature, but it's just how they go about their art of manipulation, of manipulating guys, and it's more of an indirect type of deal. And I would say white women play that game somewhat here as well. But they're gonna come after you after a while. If they feel like they they want to have things their way, but anyway, that's the example I'm kind of talking about. If that makes sense to you.
Mm-hmm. No, it's making sense. It makes sense. All right. Let me do this real quick, guys. Thank you. 556 watching. All right, all the women onto the wall. Okay, and matter of fact, ban this Nick, that water dude. He always talking shit in this chat. Get his ass out of here permanently. Ban him from my channel. I'm tired. You niggas who you can go anywhere in the world. You black YouTube niggas, y'all are sick. Some of y'all are so sick that you will find a channel just so you can always come and just talk shit. There's other channels on YouTube where you can go. If you don't like what's going on, shut the fuck up and go someplace else. Oh, you still here? Listen, no, you're not. No, you're gone. Okay. Now,
Now my brother's married to a Filipina.
Okay.
Okay. My youngest brother, he's married to a Filipina, and she's an expert, and I'm talking about a master at this. Yet she comes off as demure and as how would I say, and she's very feminine, very sweet, but she is a master of control. And she does very subtle things. Like if my brother's not doing certain things right, she'll sit down and have a conversation with me and tell me, Ivana has certain things. So he knows that when she sits down and she's talking to me because I'm cool and I'm chill, She might be hinting certain things to him to help to control his behavior by not even subtly saying what he does, but just maybe complain about little things in general here or there. And he gets nervous about what she's saying, and he wants to put a yoke on her, but he can't really because she'll also go over to my mother's house and say, "Hey, mom," and all that, and have conversations with her. So she uses his family because he's close to help to control him if he's doing certain things that are not the way she might like, if you will. And it's not too much, but it's subtle things. She's not directly coming at him, but it's indirect and subtle little drops without really saying anything outright. Master of this. Masterful.
Mm-hmm.
And I watch it and I say, well played. She knows exactly how to control this Negro. And never raises her voice. I've never seen her really get too angry. She got angry one time. She came to my house, was mad at him, and I was talking to her. She walked past me, didn't say anything. She was doing that, not to disrespect me, which she did a little bit, which I didn't like, but she did that so she could show her total displeasure with him on something he did. And I watched it. I said, "Oh, okay, it's a little trouble in paradise here, huh?" But way to get him in line and control him. Because he got a little bit of a temper, but he loves her, and she knows exactly how to manipulate his emotions. And she does it in an indirect way. Masterful. Now, he falls for a lot of that. He goes for all these shit tests and all this kind of stuff she drops on him. Me, I wouldn't be manipulated to that level, but, these women know how to play it. Women are not stupid. They understand how to control you if you give them the hand in there. So she's very good, very masterful, but not like a sister would be in there, and screaming at the woman, nickel, and all that kind of crap. Getting crazy, but very masterful in her game. And I look at her and I just shake my head. When you see a fine hand being played, you have to tip your hat to it every now and again. You feel me?
No, I feel you. Let me just do this. And guys, thanks for watching the show so far. And I really appreciate you. I thought I was gonna be able to have an episode of the Thirst Box coming tonight, but it looks like the editor won't be able to put it out, but probably early in the morning or something like that. So we're like 50% done. So let me just do this. Let me shout out some of the super chats, okay? And shouldn't call it a day. Oh yeah, cause I got another show tonight with Leo Dunson. All right. My man Omega Dreads, thank you for $99 super chat. Hater ass Nichols, you are sending me Warren M with 2 British pounds. G-Star O'Shea, Patricia Quick. Hey boo, thank you for the $4.99, but you had to go to the wall. Not your fault, but hey, they fucked it up. Clay Pro, Kevin Garnett, Traveling Man. Black men are taught they have to work twice as much to receive half as much. Black men with ugly white girls make sense by the racial caste system. Jamarius Willis, the Pookies go after the fatties. Let's be honest, the professionals get a classy or something that they can build with. Shit, I don't know about that. J.L. King, greatest video title 2018, brothers overrate white women, fam. I'd have to say this. On average, professional black men have a easier time getting a good-looking white woman. But with that being said, I don't really see a lot of black men with white women that white men find attractive. I'm going to say it again. The white women that white men would find attractive, I hardly see black men with those type of women. 90% of the time, no matter where I am in the world, I see black men with white women that white men don't want. That's what I've always seen. Yeah, I mean, does this? I'm just saying. It's the reason why. If black men were taking the women that white men wanted, it'd be a lot of y'all dead. Right? Think about it. If white men had a problem, if you guys were taking their best women, you would be dead. No doubt about it. Okay. But for the fact that you were fucking, for the most part, women that they don't give a shit about, they don't give a fuck. So y'all got to understand that. Yeah, I'm taking the women. No, y'all not. No, y'all not. No, y'all not, bro. Y'all not. All right. So y'all, I mean, that's the thing. Because if y'all was really cutting into their shit, The white man is not going to let you cut into something that he feels that's valuable. He's not going to let you do that. He getting more better of your women than you getting of his. Just letting you know. Well, some of y'all gonna be mad, but that's the truth.
But this is the thing too, because I've seen, I've been around a lot of, high value white boys, if you will, as well, and a lot of these guys who are really kicking it and are doing really well. A lot of these white dudes, you see a lot of these lowercase white boys hating immensely, but a lot of the higher end white dudes, they ain't worried. Now let me tell you why. They're getting such a ridiculous pick of the litter. What they're saying is, I can't fuck it all. I can't fuck it all. I can't. I'm trying, but I can't. So you got a lot of that going on, and I know a couple of white dudes, man. One of my boys, Jay Borsey, let me tell you, this guy, I don't even want to get into just the wealth that this man has and how he rolls. He, been to some of his parties and, had crazy looking white women in there. And you've had some live brothers coming in and rolling with some beautiful white women. But Jay don't give a fuck. Like, God don't give a fuck. They're worth, close to $1 billion and have all kind of, but they're not worried because they got more shit that's on their plate than they can worry about. They got more shit. They got more shit than than a little bit. So they ain't worried. They're not worried. A lot of these white dudes who are really worried about you more so than anything else are the guys that don't have a lot, who they feel you are trying, who actually see you as at certain levels of competition or potential competition, what they get mad about. So, I do see a lot of brothers, and especially in the city too. You do see it. You see a lot of brothers running around with pretty nice looking white girls. On the whole, which brings me to my current situation as to why we talk a little bit about why black men need to stop putting these white women on a pedestal, because a lot of these white women, even if they look good or they decent and you're running with them, some of them think they doing you a favor by running with them. And that's what I have a real problem with. They like they doing almost, I'm with him and I'm a bold white girl and look what I'm doing and he's lucky to have me, and they start to really feel this way. And that's why I say I'm not really down for putting them. I don't put any woman on a pedestal for that matter, and damn sure ain't gonna be a white woman. So like I was telling you about this one white young lady who I know from Ohio, who's been coming over here to check me out a little bit, and very attractive. I will give her credit. She looks real good, very intelligent, a writer, author and all of this, doing her thing. Yet, I was talking to her about a little business thing I wanted to talk with her about as well. We were kind of talking on a certain level, and she got, real goosey in the mouth for a second. And I'm sitting here saying, hold on one second. You've only been with me for a little bit, and now you feel like you want to get a little goosey in your mouth? And see, I will put my Buster Browns up the foot of his sister's ass in a heartbeat and kick her across the room. Bitch, you coming here talking that shit, I'm going to put my foot all the way up in your ass. I'm going to kick you out the fucking stadium. You're gone. Faster than I can say shit through a fucking goose. All right? And that's just about how I see it. So white women and all that acting like they really are in control on a lot of y'all. You have to understand a lot of them feel this way, and I know a lot of brothers may not see it in some ways like this, but a lot of these women do. I look at my other friend. He's got this white woman who he's married to, and one day we were in the gym. Are you ready for this? Listen to this. She's lifting weights. We were all going heavy. She puts 120 pounds on her chest like she can lift it. And she's trying to roll with us. And I'm like, oh, let me spot you. Get out of my face. You don't need to be spotting me. And my boy looked at her like, what? And I looked at this bitch. I was like, you ugly little, you talking to me this way? Mm-hmm. So I looked at her and said, yeah, I'm going to cut this bitch loose, man. I told my boy, I said, listen, can't fuck with your wife, bro. I'm cool with you, but your wife, I can't talk to this fucking bitch. So she was on my Facebook page and all that, cut her off everything. She started getting angry, and he tried to come back at me. Well, you cut her out of social media. I was like, fuck this bitch. That's your bitch. Fuck your bitch, bro. I ain't fucking with her like that. So, maybe you at home and let her little ugly ass talk to you that way, but she ain't fucking with me like that. I'll hang a fucking foot up her ass higher than you can believe. I'll put my foot up so far up her ass, she'll be tasting fucking Dr. Scholl's. So what happened was, you know, say the least, she, you know, she never fucking spoke to me again, and or now she sees me and says, hey, what's up and all that. But I'm sitting there saying, here's this brother with this white babe, and she feels comfortable enough to even talk shit to one of his boys, talk disrespectfully, and the only thing I ever did was treated her like gold. And I've seen this on more than one occasion. And like I said, this little white friend former friend that I have now, who's sending me pictures every 2 minutes. She's texted me 5 times already since we've talked, and I'm not answering any one of her calls. But feels as though what you can get a little bit loud with me because I hung out with you for a little bit. You think you can start shooting your mouth off? That's a problem. See, a lot of these white women think, that these once they get into these brothers a little bit, that they can be whatever. Nah, it ain't like that. Ain't like that. White boys kick you to the curb. What you think? I ain't gonna kick you to the fucking curb. I ain't gonna kick you to the curb. I'm gonna kick you out the fucking curb. I'll kick you through the fucking curb. Get the fuck out of here. So that's my view on them. I think brothers have, in some respects, given these women a little bit too much juice on occasion. I know there are gonna be those who will come at me on this. I understand that, but unfortunately, I see some of this, and I ain't feeling it like that. And especially. Don't talk no shit to no red pill dude. Don't come in here doing that. Don't come in here doing that. Don't come in here doing that. So so that's where we're at in this. That's where we're at. Brothers, hold your nuts. Fuck these hoes, and don't be letting these fucking white bitches come up here and feel like they live like that. Don't roll like that. Because if you're gonna hang your foot in the sister's ass, hang your foot higher in these bitches' asses. Because a lot of them are walking around here thinking that they got something on you. They do. I'm sorry to call it out, but it is what it is. Sorry. Well, no, I ain't really sorry, shit. But I'm gonna call it out like that. Sorry. You know what I'm talking about, O'Shea?
No, I understand.
You feel me on that? So give none of these bitches a pass.
All right. So let me see here. Well, man, listen. Great show, man. Anything else you want to say, man?
Nah, I just want to say, man, listen, man, thanks for having me on. This was kind of impromptu, you know what I'm saying? I still got work here to do, and it's getting a little bit late, but you jumped in. So I said, okay, I'll do this thing with you here a little bit. I'm just kicking a little red pill game, also for the for the Beckys, for the sisters, you know what I'm saying? If you cool, I'm down with you. I can roll with y'all. If you right, if you not, I'm gonna hang my foot in your ass higher than you can believe. If you for the Beckys, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, if y'all cool, that's cool like that. But I'm quick to put you motherfuckers in check fast.
Don't set it off, brother. Don't set it off.
Okay. I'm sorry, but
don't set it off, brother. You want to leave it up, brother. You want to leave it up.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry.
Up,
okay. I'm sorry. So I will keep saying, get your mind right, brothers. Your mind right out here. You know what I'm saying? Of course, always keep your money right. Get your body right and all that. You know what I'm saying? And suck your butts come in all different flavors. Keep your mind on that shit. And that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm not hating on anyone, but keep that red pill red. Keep that shit red as fuck. I'm sorry, man. Keep it red as fuck. Shit. Yeah, okay, I'm done.
All right, y'all. So thanks, Nagone. Hey, I appreciate everybody. I got a white women would always feel superior when dating black men. Yeah, that's what we're thinking about. Guys, the super chat system, whatever, won't let me talk about the other ones. But thanks, everybody. I tried to go in. Hold on a second. Is it back good now? G Star, thank you. I talked about him. Remember, any black man with his money right can get fine white women. White women always feel superior when dating black men. I think that is definitely true. Guys, again, thanks for the support on the stream. I just need, before you go though, 15 different people to like the video, okay? 15. Okay. 15 different people to like the video before you get up out of here. All right. And the guys, we're trying to bring you the most unique content that you can get here on Black YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And you always get it over here on my channel. I'm always give you that good content. Thanks again to Nagone. We got another show coming on tonight. And peace out. Get the likes up. And we're out. Peace.
Peace.